Manny Paquiao, the new champion there. Steve, 140's limit, not being pushed on the 147, but let's not worry about what comes ahead. That night was all-time awesome performances by Manny Paquiao, ultimate professional, absolute.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier on, it was a consummate performance. He put a single foot on what he had, and he clearly does have his eyes on the future. But to be that concentrated, when you're like, as Diaz, everyone's going to say now, Diaz was rubbish. He wasn't that bad, trust me, okay? He was made to look ordinary. And we used to have a fighter in this on Nassim Hamid. He'd get in the champions, ex-champions, or guys that were on their way to titles, and he'd make them look not ordinary, he'd make them look rubbish, okay? And we walked out of arenas around the country and also overseas and said, X, Y, and Z was rubbish. They weren't rubbish. Nas had the ability, through his movement, to look rubbish. And we saw that a little bit with Paquiao. He made David Diaz look incredibly ordinary with his variety. The amount of variety is unbelievable. His balance and his poise. It started from the very first rounds. You know, in office, David Diaz had a slow start. He had about 10 something. He did 1, 2, and 3. Paquiao picking him off. But you saw just that last, and they had Paquiao. Look, he's full of shots, but he's not fully committed. He doesn't want to get too involved too early. Those shots are great shots, but he's just pulling them slightly. You know, he's cautious of that. There's a lot of defence. He doesn't want to get hit by a guy actually big. I know he only got in the ring to like a pound heavier compared to Pacquiao's one. David Diaz was much stronger, and Pacquiao made sure he didn't get to, he didn't get to check out.
We wondered, would Diaz into the fight, that power start to show? And as we saw as it went on, it didn't make any difference because Paquiao just got better.
No, well, Pacquiao had a slowish round, about a couple of rounds. At this stage, he was picking his punches. But at the same time, he's getting that one shot there, he's got a free shot. He's all apart. There's gaps and eyes opening. There's that dreadful shot at the end when he's lying back. You saw the foot. His face looks deformed, looks cartooned at the end. Pacquiao's thinking at that stage, tank feels good. I'm not going to hit with a shot. Hands are holding up. He used to suck a little bit with his hands. One shot or 2 shots.
Should Jackie McMahon have stepped in and given Pac-Man a minute?
He loves his blood, so he wasn't about to step in, was he? He was enjoying it. Honestly, you can't see. If he'd have stopped it, Diaz would have screamed the place down.
Surely that.
No, Andy, I disagree. This is a guy who was clearly not bothered about the way it was going. It wasn't going right, but the corner wasn't packing. So every time he did slightly get a bit closer, and he had about round 6 when he managed to get in and slightly rough up Paquiao. Not the unite from Pacquiao's face again, because it wasn't Bruce. And I don't know if the referee could have stepped in. He was looking quite close before the final shot take the referee out of the equation. But the corner had the option as well, Andy. And in fact, Paquiao looks at the referee.
So the only way to stop it literally was to put Diaz out cold, and it looks just...
I think so. Listen, we're all geniuses, we're all after timers. This is a lovely shot. That is such a perfect shot. We're all after timers when the guy goes down. If he doesn't get hit with that shot, he survives the distance, in my opinion, and he goes away and spends a night in hospital and he has about 50 stitches. Okay, that's what boxing's like.
Look at his face. I mean, he was out cold for a second there, wasn't he?
He was out. He gets hit with a shot and he goes down. There's no way he was going to beat the count. But that's what happens in boxing. That's what happens at that level. That's risk you take, and that's the opposite. Those are the joys you experience. That's what happens in boxing. That's what boxing is about. It's about pain barriers. And David Diaz tonight was working his pace. They were saying, well, they expected it to be like this. Expected Diaz to be dashed up. I was going to say by about round 10. And then the Diaz got to deal with the cut. As Wally Matthews pointed out there, believe how many times I've Matthews tonight. He's a lovely fella, by the way. As David's agent. No, I wish I was proud of this. But as Wally Matthews pointed out, go again. It's a corner used so much adrenaline. That didn't look like adrenaline. It looked like some kind of cement they were pouring. Because it was slow, which was an awful gash. And then, of course, there was a big gash above the right eye. I'm not what I always say when there's a bad cut, Andy. So I don't really thinking I'm going to say something rude about that. But that was the twins. That was a dreadful cut. But you can. But at the end, just before knock, did suddenly start to just a little
of David Diaz. A gallant loser.
It was. Well, there's 2 things he can do in his future. The first thing he can do is he can enter a swearing competition with Enzo Calzaghe, and my money's on Enzo Calzaghe. And the second thing, let him 2 or 3 months off. First thing that struck me there, and is a new opponent for him.
Is that a fight worth taking now he's lost the belt?
Well, in all fairness, is David Diaz better than Michael Gomez, Christensen, Graham L? Yes. Has David had major exposure on American TV? That pay-per-view tonight? Yes, he has. Has he been a world champion in the last 12 months at lightweight? Yes, he has. Does he look like he's shot and damaged goods? Yes, he does. There's not another box to tick. Has he got a passport? Bosh, yes. Bang, 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 bang. Tick every box.
Are you 2 Americans fighting?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to have a big fight in November or December. Pacquiao talks about fight. Lovely story before this fight, how he drives a 17-year-old car that's got no air conditioning and it's really hot in Chicago in the summer. The people have loved him, the press have loved him. He can come back after that. He went out on his shield, as he said, it's what fighters do. And that's how he went out. That would be a superb fight for Amir Khan. Because I tell you what, of all the 10 out there and the 3 Diaz's, and there's 10 really good fighters now at that weight, in my opinion, Guzman, Casamayor, Pacquiao, the 3 Diaz's, Yuri Romanov, Zahir, Raheem. I tell you what, of those, I think there's 9 of them. Of those 9, David Diaz, that's a fantastic fight. That's a genuine top 10 fight.
Or maybe that could be on the undercard of Manny Pacquiao's next fight. They're talking about Nate Campbell being next for him, but right now Pacquiao celebrating his victory. He is the new WBC super featherweight champion. That's his 4th world title.
Vic Draculich calls a halt to this bout at 2 minutes 24 seconds. Round number 9. The winner by knockout victory. The fighting pride of the Philippines. Now a 4-time world champion and new WBC lightweight champion of the world, Manny Paquiao.
Cool, classy, consummately professional that you are, Steve Punt. Was that the most destructive performance we've seen this year?
You know, it was one of the most destructive performances I've seen at that level, because what happened there is Manny Paquiao made David Diaz look like a flat-footed novice. And David Diaz is not a flat-footed novice, and that's the sign of a truly great fighter, when he gets in the ring with another good fighter. Not a great fighter, but a good fighter. A really, you know, he's a good, honest pro, David Diaz. He's a world champion. He's a good fighter. He's operating at a good level. And Manny Pacquiao there looked at the end like 2 things. First of all, it looked like he hadn't taken a punch, and he probably took 5 or 6 punches, and the best was a body shot in one of the earlier rounds. But more than that, he wasn't breathing. So all those stories about how he was cutting a few corners and focusing on fights past Diaz, clearly thrown out the window. Pacquiao didn't put a foot wrong. And you know what? During all of those early flourishes, when he just looked fantastic, everything was brilliant. If you stop those and do them one at a time, his feet are perfect all the time. Every shot's perfect. Even when he's throwing that looping right hook, and I was convinced he was going to knock David Diaz out with that shot. His left hand is back here protecting his chin. Everything he did in that fight was absolutely perfect. And they joked at the end there, Wally Matthews, about Floyd Mayweather has just come out of retirement. He got in the ring now at 147 pounds. Okay, that's exactly what Floyd Mayweather weighed before he fought Ricky Hatton. I think Floyd on the night was 153. So there's not a lot of weight in it. There's only 6 or 7 pounds. And what that fight did do, and I'm just going to go on a bit because I'm so excited, it was fantastic to watch an exhibition like that, is that the last couple of weeks, everyone's been looking for a fight for the sport's biggest ever seller, Oscar De La Hoya. December 6th, his final fight. Ricky Hatton said, no thank you, I don't really want it. Oscar said, I'll maybe fight Cotto, but you know what, he didn't really mean he wants to fight Cotto, trust me. And the one name that keeps coming up is Pac-Man. Pac-Man and Cotto, December 6th. I don't think there's an arena.
Pac-Man De La Hoya.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah, Pac-Man De La Hoya. What a fight that would be. Hey, listen, after that we can have Pac-Man Cotto.
We started tonight by talking about whether, now that Floyd Mayweather was gone, could Pacquiao become the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world? Hey, forget whether Floyd's retired or not. On that display, people would say that was as good as Mayweather at his best.
Andy, I've got to be honest with you, you know, it was reminiscent of that, except it was better technically than Mayweather. Mayweather's looks faster, but would he have looked faster against that tonight? What a fight that would have been at low welterweight or light welterweight. Those two, a couple of years ago, would have been absolutely fantastic. And you're right what you said earlier on. You know, he's won now Pacquiao. He did win the flyweight title, okay, and the super bantamweight title, the super featherweight title, now the lightweight title. And of course, the one that always confuses me, and this is why I always consider it to be a championship fight bout, and I think, and I still consider it as a title, is he beat Barrera when Barrera was the champion at featherweight. Even though no title was on the line that night, Barrera was in dispute. I think with the WBC or the WBO, it makes the difference. He was in dispute. So he did beat the best featherweight in the world on that night. So really that wasn't his 4th title there tonight, that was his 5th title.